Our next product that we're going to share is our workstations. Notice I said workstations and not cutting tables. There's several differences in what the Martellis have and brought to the table and then what you currently have now. Now, traditionally, any table that you'll find in the quilting industry, whether it be for cutting, whether it be for sewing, whether it be for ironing, typically what you have is a particle board table with some laminate over there, and then they have now I'm exaggerating a little bit, 100 different nuts, bolts, screws, and washers to put the thing together, and if you're lucky, if you don't move it, it might last a year on you. This is what's a little bit different about Martelli, okay? First things first, hopefully you can hear this. What you're hearing right there is HDPE. It's called high density polyethylene. Layman's terms, it's plastic. So that tells you by being plastic, number one, it's really, really lightweight, and number two, it's indestructible. Coffee, hot glue. Now I'm just going to share this with you. I personally have 3 of these at my house, and I use them for a multitude of different things, but just know that the surface, that there's nothing you can actually do to hurt the surface. Now with traditional tables, once you put a table and you set it in a room, you're actually stuck. Wherever you put that table, that's where that table is staying. Now, as you know, we're an invention company. We won't bring anything to market unless there's a reason for it. Now, if you look at our table, we understand that it's plastic and we understand that it's indestructible. The table that we have is actually 31 inches wide, from this side to this side. Now, a traditional standard doorway in a home, I believe after 1972, the industry standard is a 32-inch door, a 32-inch wide door. So that tells you if you have a 31-inch wide table and you have a 32-inch door, and this made out of plastic, which remember is very, very lightweight and indestructible, then we can actually bring this table from room to room. Now I don't know if you get a shot right here, but I'm going to move this. I'm actually going to show you. There's handles that are actually built into the table. So we have the handles on the table. I'm going to take these wheel locks off real quick. Remember, it's 31 inches wide in the plastic, so it takes this much pressure right here to be able to move the table. There's one just finger. I'm just showing you how easy it is to move this table. Very, very, very lightweight. So if I wanted to, I could put all my supplies in there and I can actually bring this from room to room. That's what the handles are for. So remember, a 31-inch wide table and a 32-inch door and a very lightweight table allows you to bring this from room to room. Now, notice when I just got done talking to you a little while ago, I didn't say cutting table. I didn't say cutting table because it's not a cutting table. You can use anything for a cutting table. This is a workstation. But you're going to say, well, Mr. Martelli, well, Dave, I see actually a mat built into the table. You do, and that's a good observation if you do, but let me show you a couple things. Notice I inset the mat into the table. So when the mat goes into the table, it's always a flat surface area. The reason why I did that is because this mat is truly self-healing. You can't hurt it. Remember, we discussed you can iron on this with material on it. You can iron on it, and there's a multitude of things that you can do. If you can do all these things and you don't hurt this mat, why not inset the mat to the table, giving you a flat surface area at all time, always to work on? So now you have a cutting table, you have a work table if you need to do any projects, and a sewing table. This is actually one of my favorite features of this entire table. We talk about sewing and we talk about ergonomic sewing, and one of the biggest things in this entire industry, what we have been working on lately, is how can we make things ergonomic. We're all getting, every year we get a year older, so we're all aging, and as we age we start getting these different aches and pains. So one way to overcompensate for this, for sewing and cutting, is we built a table that has leg lifts. Are you going to say, okay, that's fantastic? Well, let me show you exactly what I mean by leg lifts. Now, we just discussed with you the 31-inch wide table, the 32-inch door. Now we discussed we have the mat built in. Here's the cool part. Now, first part I'm going to show you with the cutting mat is that we can do long lengths without breaking our back anymore. Now, I'm going to try to explain this the best I can with the camera the way that it is. But from here, the further out you go, for example, I'm going to kind of get low in shot. If I'm cutting, the further out that I cut, the more that I have to bend my back and the more that I have to support myself. So if you're looking right here, when I'm cutting, I'm supporting myself actually on top of the ruler that slides all over the place. So we understand the further you go, the more that you have to bend your back in order to do it. Now, keep that same thought process in mind. You're doing a long cut. Now, the further uphill that you cut, the more ergonomic friendly it is, and the less distance you have to travel. For example, from here to here is the same distance from here to here. Okay? So the higher you go, the less distance you have to travel. So from here to here is the same distance from here to here. So the more out you go, the more you break your back. Now, I'm being redundant in a lot of what I'm saying, but I really want you to understand and comprehend what I'm trying to explain to you here. Now, if you notice the table, I've got my mat inset to the table. Notice the lengthways. One of the biggest ways we overcame this problem of not breaking the backs anymore and not having to bend over as far to do our cuts is we put independent suspension on the table. Well, what do you mean by independent suspension? Knowing this table raises and lowers is really cool in and of itself. But to be able to raise and lower each side independently, so now hopefully it gets us a good shot. We can actually raise and lower each side independently. Now when I'm rotary cutting and I get this at the proper angle for me and my back and my height, now I can raise and lower both sides at the same time by pushing both buttons. Now I don't know if it's a good shot in there. So now I'm raising, once I have it at the perfect angle for me, I can raise it and lower it at the perfect height for me. Now we've just discussed, okay, the further you go, the more you have to bend your back. But now that I have the table at a perfect angle for me, this is a perfect angle for my height, I can barely hold that ruler right here, barely touch the ruler, remember the proper cutting position with the rotary cutter on the outside of my body, and I barely even have to stretch. I don't have to, matter of fact, I don't have to stretch at all when I do a cut now. So now when I'm cutting all my, whether I'm cutting my strips or whether I'm just doing traditional rotary cutting, all my cutting is done much easier now because I can put this at the proper height for me. This is what I was telling you is probably one of my favorite parts of this entire workstation. When you sew, they have this really cool product out. It's called the Sew Steady Table. I don't know exactly how much it costs, but in theory, let me explain to you what it does. The Sew Steady Table will take the sewing machine, it will take it and it will lift the sewing machine of the needle up at an angle. So instead of bending your neck, you're bending the sewing machine. This accomplishes the same process. Notice I still have my table at the same angle. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to give you a small piece of advice. If you're listening, listen very carefully. I get paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to show up and educate people that have been quilting their entire life. Now, I'm not saying that to be braggadocious. I'm not saying that to be pompous or arrogant. What I'm about to tell you, if you pay attention to it and you apply this to your skills and your ability as a quilter, your production level for quilting, sewing, crafting will go through the roof. Notice I have an angle, the same exact angle, I haven't changed it. This is the perfect angle for Dave Martelli. I've taken my Get a Grip pad. This right here is a Get a Grip pad, and it accomplishes two things for what I'm about to try to do, okay? Number one, this pad is a vibration reducer. Now, if you've watched any of my instructional DVDs or my promotional DVDs for some of my product, you would see this product with the sewing machine on there. Now, how I did it in the demonstration, I took this away from the sewing machine, I turned the sewing machine on, and I had a cup that was made out of plastic that was see-through. I filled it halfway full of water. I turned my machine on, and the water was shooting out of the cup. It was vibrating and shooting out of the cup. I stopped. I put my Get a Grip blue pad underneath the machine. I set the machine down. I ran the machine and you could barely see the water vibrating. So number one, the number one reason why I love the Get a Grip pad is reduces vibration. Now a sewing machine is exactly that. It's a machine. A machine has moving parts. Moving parts causes vibration, and vibration causes damage. You go out there and you don't hesitate to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Heck, let's say you spent $400 on a sewing machine, which is a low-end sewing machine. Do you want that machine to break? Well, the thing is absolutely not. You reduce the vibration, it's preventive maintenance. That's the best way to describe it to you. But that's number one reason why I like to Get a Grip. Number two, you ready for this? Let's get back to the angle of the sewing machine. Now, this is what all the quilters in the world and all the people, all the sewers in the world, this is actually how they sew. We take the machine right there and we sit down in front of our machine just like this. And this is what we're taught. And in a minute, I'm gonna explain to you why we're taught this. We sit down in front of our sewing machine and then we start sewing. Here's the problem that we're having. I have a machine right here and it has an arm right here. It's open right here. Now people, the bigger the throat space, the more they love their machine and the more expensive the machine is, along with the gadgetry and the electronics on the sewing machine. But here's the problem that we have. I'm sewing, I pushed whatever it is that I want. Now, I can see in front of the needle. I can barely see on the side of the needle and I cannot see behind the needle. The machine's in my way. I can use my left hand in front of the sewing machine and I can use my left hand on the side but not in the back. Now, I've been paid thousands and thousands of dollars to teach this very thing. If you pay attention to this and you try this, you're going to absolutely fall in love with your production, okay? Take your sewing machine and your get a grip on your Martelli workstation, your LaCresta workstation. Take it and turn it 45 degrees. Now don't say, how much is 45 degrees? Take it and give yourself a slight angle, okay? It doesn't have to be exact, 45, 43, 47, and move over 8 inches, just like this. Now let me show you what that accomplishes, okay? Now I can see with my eyes in front of the needle, beside the needle, and behind the needle. Now I can use both of my hands in front and side and in back. Now, you limit yourself so much by sitting in front of the sewing machine. Now, you want to know why you sit in front of the sewing machine at home? Because whoever taught you how to sew and whoever taught you how to quilt learned on a treadle machine. A treadle machine had a fixed pedal on the inside of a cabinet. This is great. I love technology. This is a very lightweight sewing machine, and I don't care if you have a $7,000 or $8,000 sewing machine. If it's not in the cabinet, you can turn it very easily. The reason why we can do that now is because we have a foot pedal that is held on with a wire. You can put that wire foot pedal wherever you want, and that allows you to free up both of your eyes to all angles of your sewing machine and both of your hands. You don't believe me, ladies? Go home and try it and watch the production. And I guarantee what you're thinking in your brain right now is what has been told to me over and over and over again. I never thought about that. Well, of course you didn't think about that, because typically when you get involved with the industry that's a passion or a hobby or something that you love, you never think outside the box. So this comes, a lot of the innovation and inventions that come from people usually come from people that are outside the box. It gives you a little better bird's eye view of how to do things much easier, much faster, much more efficient. Remember, this is a hobby. This is something we love to do, so let's find the best way to do it. So with that being said, back to the table. This is not a cutting table, this is a workstation. I showed you how I can do ergonomic rotary cutting. I showed you how we can do ironing. I showed you how we can use this as a sewing table. This table has 14 inches of lift. It can go all the way down like a table, like a desk, all the way up to the middle of your chest. If you're doing embroidery, if you're doing sewing, if you're doing quilting, if you're doing cutting, if you're doing ironing, there's a multitude of things that you can use this workstation for. We talked about things that are cheap. We talked about particle board. We talked about laminate. We talked about if we move the furniture, it doesn't last a year. Something I want to share with you. This is made out of HDP, high density polyethylene, and we shared that. But the legs are made out of 3/8 inch aircraft extruded aluminum. That tells you, just like the plastic, very, very lightweight, also indestructible. So when you buy this table, guess what? You have a table that will last you the rest of your life. I don't hesitate. I give you a lifetime warranty on this table. I make these tables right here in the United States in a 45,000 square foot manufacturing facility in Pensacola, Florida. Every single table that we have is independently made, and it's a custom-made table. Well, what do you mean it's a custom-made table? Well, what I mean by a custom-made table is every single table that I make, we actually assemble the table to make sure it fits. Remember, this mat has to fit down inside of your table. Guess what? If this doesn't fit and I ship it to you and you ship it back, I've lost all my profit. This has got to be done right, and it's got to be done right the first time. So when I make this table, I independently put every single piece and part of the table together. I assemble it, then I disassemble it, I put it in 3 boxes, and I ship it to you. Now, I'm going to talk about the wheels, and then I'm going to talk about the assembly. Getting to the wheels. A lot of people don't like casters on their floor because you have plastic wheels and it will tear your floor up. The casters that I have are very, very expensive industrial casters. Now, I don't pass that expense on to you. I eat that expense. The casters have 32 stainless steel ball bearings on the inside, easy for pivoting, okay? And then the wheels are rubber-based wheels, not plastic. So there's no scuffing the floor up of any kind. Let's talk about assembly for a second, but before we do that, I want you to stop watching this video right now. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about a child's toy, maybe a little house that you have to put together for a child. I want you to think just inside your head about the instruction manual and the pieces and the parts and the numbers and the time consuming. A bicycle, how about that? Let's pretend like you had to put a bicycle together. Just close your eyes and think about the training manual and then the time that it's going to take you to do it with the different pieces and parts. Okay, you ready? 3 seconds, think about it. Okay, now stop for a second. Now I want you to open your eyes and I want you to look at this table. I'm going to make this really simple for you. The manual for assembly for this table is 1 page. I'm going to sum it up for you, and then I'm really going to explain it to you. If there's a hole, you put a blue screw in it. That's the design of this. All the screw holes come prefabbed when we make these tables. Remember, they're all custom made. Now, this table comes in 5 pieces, okay? You have the front plastic piece right here, okay? You have the tabletop. You have this front plastic piece, and then you have this area. You have this side piece right here, and you have this side piece over here. They're all independent pieces. Now, the 2 side pieces with the leg lifts, they're already assembled for you. There's nothing to assemble. When you get it out of the box, the leg lifts are already on the side, okay? So this is how you assemble the table. You take one side of the table where the leg is, and you stand it up. Then you take the other side of the table, and you stand it up. Then underneath, you're gonna see, I'm gonna move this back right here, you're gonna see a pipe, this pipe right here. So you're gonna stand this side up right here, and then you're gonna stand this side up right here, and then you're gonna put the pipe. There's only one place that the pipe goes. Once you put the pipe in, both legs are standing up by itself, okay? Then after you have the pipe and the 2 legs standing up, you take this piece right here, and you take, you take this piece, and you come to the side of the table right here, and there's four screw holes. So what do you do if there's a hole? You put a blue screw in it. Over here, 4 blue screws. So after the legs are on, you put this on, the other side goes on the same exact way. Then you put the tabletop down and you screw it down. It takes me about 5 minutes to put a table together in its entirety from start to finish. And I'm not talking because I've done it 1,000 times. Because honestly, when we typically go to a show, we have them shipped in on a trailer and they're already assembled. The only times that I have ever personally done them is probably maybe 4 or 5 times, and that's product that we've had to ship to shows because it's too far to drive, and I've actually assembled them myself. And ladies, you might laugh at me. I have no mechanical ability about me whatsoever. Everything that I'm teaching you has been taught to me by somebody else. I just have a great way of presenting it, a bird's eye view of putting it from somebody's brain to your brain. That's all that I'm doing here. So again, really easy assembly. I don't care if you're a little fragile, tiny old lady, or you're a big, burly, older gentleman. It doesn't matter. The heaviest piece on this table, I think, weighs 45 pounds. Don't hold me to that. I'm pretty sure it's 45 pounds, and that's just the tabletop. Now remember, this comes in 3 boxes. So the heaviest box is 45 pounds. Anybody can put this together. It doesn't take a big brute person to put it together. A little old lady can put this together. We designed this with easiness in mind, and we also designed this understanding that this industry is mostly based with women, and some women are mechanically inclined and some are not. Some men are mechanically inclined, some men are not. I happen to be a man that's actually not mechanically inclined, like I just shared with you. So we had to design this in such a way where anybody could actually put this together. So I hope you enjoyed the time that we got to spend with the workstation. This will probably be one of the best products that you have ever purchased from Martelli. Now, when you buy your workstation, there's 3 different sizes that you can get, okay? You have the 29 by 47. The 29 by 47 is the same exact table as this right here. The only difference is it's only this long. There's an inch on either side of the mat, okay? And it's 1 inch shorter this way. If you don't have the T-square, which the 29 by 47 doesn't, it looks just like this. The table looks just like this right here. There, let's just kind of do it like this. This is about the size of the table right there. And it goes all the way to the end. So right here is about the size of the table, 29 by 47. And then we have the 31 by 59, which this is our 31 by 59. This is our most popular table, okay? Then we have the 35 by 72 table. Now, that's the table if you have a big sewing or quilting room and that's what you want in your house. We sell a lot of it to those ladies that have studios. We sell a lot of the 35 by 72 to the ladies that have shops. If you have the room, a lot of people love the 30. Obviously, the bigger the table, the more space you have on top of the table. All the tables do the exact same thing. The bases to the table are all the same. There's no difference in the bases, just the size of the tabletops. So we have the 29 by 47, then we have the 31 by 59, Then we have the 35 by 72. Now, last thing that I want to share with you, and we have done lots and lots and lots of custom work. Now, on site, we have the ability, we have a master engineer that uses a program called SolidWorks, which SolidWorks allows you to draw anything out, and then any size, shape, form, all the variances you need, you plug it in the system, and then we have a large CNC that cuts all these machines out. So if you want a custom table, whether it be for your embroidery machine, because we make tables for the Brother 6 needle, the Brother 12 needle, the Baby Lock 6 needle, the Baby Lock 12 needle, which are the same machines. If you didn't know that, you do now. So we make a lot of custom tables too. So if you want one for your sewing machine and you love these tables and you love the way they're made and you want some high quality tables for an absolute fantastic price, then go ahead and tell me what you need, and we can do the custom work for you in that regard too. So these are our workstations. I hope you enjoy them or get one and enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed them at my house. And that's pretty much what we have for the workstations. So if you have any questions, feel free to call the office. And the number will be at the bottom of the screen. Call the office for any more information that you might need.